Hey, I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Israeli airstrikes kill 10 in Gaza City school, Lebanese troop and UN peacekeepers hit by Israeli forces. Dollar soars as Trump nears election win, euro sterling yen all retreats sharply. PM Modi hits out at Justin Trudeau regime for Brampton temple attack. India stops consular camps in Canada, says lack of basic security. Russia says forces captured 2 more settlements in eastern Ukraine. Modi congratulates friend Trump on historic election victory, calls for boosting Indo-US ties. Germany's normally stable government has collapsed. Australia proposes ban on social media for children under 16. Spain's catastrophic floods by the number at least 219 dead, 93 missing and billions in damage. Putin congratulates Trump on election win, says ready to talk on war. Hurricane Rafael makes landfall in Cuba as a life-threatening Category 3 storm. Houthis announces immediate ceasefire soon after Trump's victory in US elections, Millennium sources reported. California wildfire forces thousands to evacuate. Osimhen scores twice as Galatasaray beat 10-man Tottenham. F1 drivers ask FIA to treat them like adults. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned for more updates. Keep watching Millennium TV.
Millennium Day News is a global news network dedicated to providing high-quality coverage across a wide range of topics, including local, regional, national, and international issues. Operating 24/7, the network emphasizes inclusivity, offering a platform for diverse voices and covering essential subjects such as arts, culture, religion, education, and legal advice. Based in New York City, Millennium Day News connects communities worldwide through engaging programming that includes political discussions, sports news, health segments, and entertainment features. To ensure accessibility, viewers can access content via mobile apps, iOS and Android, Internet Smart TVs, and streaming services like Roku and Amazon Fire, as well as through IPTV and satellite networks. For more information and updates, visit their websites millenniumnews24.com and millenniumtv24.com or follow them on social media and YouTube under Millennium News 24. As they continue to expand, viewers can look forward to a broader array of news programs that reflect the diversity of the global community. Whether you're interested in current events or cultural discussions, Millennium Day News is dedicated to keeping you informed and connected.
Welcome back after the break. I am Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you are watching Millennium News Channel 24. Let's look at the week update. Here are the latest updates. Israeli airstrike kills 12 people in school sheltering displaced people in Gaza City, Civil Defense Agency said. Gaza Civil Defense Agency said that 12 people were killed in Israeli airstrike on a Sunday on school housing displaced people in Al-Shati refugee camp west of Gaza City, according to Millennium. Medics said earlier that 10 Palestinian people had been killed in the airstrike. Let's look at the small video. The US dollar soared Wednesday, set for its biggest one-day rise since March 2020 as Donald Trump closed in on presidential victory. At the same time, the euro lost more than the other G10 currencies. The euro area is likely to suffer disproportionately from a restrictive US trade policy, not only because of its direct exports to US. Should the US remain the ultimate sink of global trade flows, global trade as a whole may suffer. This will affect the export nations and quite a few of them in euro area. Germany, for example. Furthermore, if one believes that exports are an important growth driver for a number of eurozone economies, one must assume that a restrictive trade policy will cement Europe's growth disadvantage, vice versa the US. This too will negatively impact euro USD in the long run. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday condemned the attack on Hindu temple in Canada. In his first statement since Canada-related controversy began, Prime Minister Modi issued a very long statement after Khalistan extremists targeted a Hindu temple on Ontario yesterday evening, making it quite clear that the PM stands for Indians across the world. Modi said, "I strongly condemn the deliberate attack on a Hindu temple in Canada. Equally appalling are the cowardly attempts to intimidate our diplomats. Such acts of violence will never weaken India's resolve. We expect the Canadian government to ensure justice and uphold the rule of law." The Prime Minister said on X. The strong condemnation by the Prime Minister comes after a Hindu temple in Canada, Brampton, came under attack by pro-Khalistani elements. It is the first statement by Prime Minister Modi since diplomatic tensions between India and Canada erupted last September. Videos on social media showed pro-Khalistani extremists clashing with devotees outside the temple in Brampton. Violence. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau too condemned the attack on Hindu temple but did not call out pro-Khalistani elements who have been carrying out provocative acts in his regime. Prime Minister Modi also called out Ottawa after some members of Indian consular staff were pulled off by the Canadian authorities. The government has also outrightly rejected Canada's allegation against the Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Days after a violent Khalistani mob stormed the premises of a Hindu temple in Canada's Brampton and attacked devotees, the Indian High Commission in Canada has decided to cancel some of the planned consular camps. The Indian Consulate General in Toronto said that the Canadian authorities refused even minimum security protection for such camps. The denial of minimum security by Canadian security agencies comes at a time when Khalistani elements have become hyperactive and issued upon threats to Indian origin people and Indian linked organizations. Canadian PM Justin Trudeau and his Liberal Party have also been slammed for not condemning the attack by the Khalistanis, who have been accused in harboring and appeasing the secessionists. Last week, India had said some of its consular officials were informed by Canadian government that they have been under audio and video surveillance. Terming the actions as a flagrant violation of diplomatic conventions, India had said Canada could not hide behind technicalities to justify its harassment and intimidation, and that a protest had been lodged with the Canadian government. Russia says forces captured two more settlements in eastern Ukraine. Forces have captured two more settlements in areas of heavy military activities in eastern Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry said on Wednesday. Ukraine's military noted fighting around both villages in eastern sector of 1,000-kilometer front line, but did not acknowledge that either had fallen into Russian hands. The Russian ministry identified the villages as Maximivka, just north of hilltop town of Valdar, captured by Russian forces last month after long months of fighting, and Antonovka near the empaneled town of Kharkov. Further north, the General Staff of Ukraine military said Kiev had replied to attack near the area's villages vicinity of Valdar in Donetsk region. Clashes still going on. The General Staff reported tense situation around the city of Kharkov with 39 Russian attack on Ukrainian position. It listed Antonovka, several villages, as Moscow's troops were trying to advance. After failing in their initial attempt to move on Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, Russian forces have focused on capturing the eastern Donbas region made up by Donetsk and Luhansk region. Russian forces hold about one-fifth of Ukrainian territory as we speak. The 2024 US presidential election brought a political shakeup, with former President Donald Trump returning to office, backed by a Republican wave that swept through key states and congressional states. Modi on Wednesday congratulated friend Donald Trump on his historic presidential polls victory and said he looks forward to renewing their collaboration to further strengthen the Indo-US relationships comprehensively, globally, and strategic partnership. Trump return signifies a shift back to the America First policy that defined his first term, which included strict immigration policies, a robust stance on trade, and pronounced nationalism that resonated with his voter base. Let's look at this 1-minute video. Germany's governing coalition has collapsed after disagreements over country's weak economy, led by Chancellor Olaf Scholz to sack his finance minister, prompted him withdraw his Free Democrats party from a coalition with Scholz's Social Democratic Party, leaving Scholz in a minority government with the Green Party. Scholz said he would now call a confidence vote for January 15, which he lost, could follow elections to be held in the end of March next year, 6 months earlier than the elections planned for September 2025. Germany now faces turmoil at the time of broader uncertainty. The political crisis was triggered just hours after it was announced Donald Trump will get the second term of election. Further woes German economies as well as strengthen Europe's united front of key issues. Let's look at a small video.
Mit bald 30 Milliarden Euro unterstützen wir die Ukraine in ihrem Abwehrkampf. Ich bin nicht bereit, unsere Unterstützung für die Ukraine und Investitionen in unsere Verteidigung zu Lasten des sozialen Zusammenhalts zu finanzieren. Das Grundgesetz sieht in Artikel 115 ausdrücklich vor, in einer außergewöhnlichen Notsituation einen Überschreitensbeschluss zu fassen. Der russische Angriffskrieg sowie alle seine Folgen sind eine solche Notsituation.
Stattdessen hat der Bundeskanzler seit heute Nachmittag ultimativ von mir verlangt, die Schuldenbremse des Grundgesetzes auszusetzen. Dem konnte ich nicht zustimmen, weil ich damit meinen Amtseid.
We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar. Keep watching Millennium News Channel 24.
Millennium Day News is a global news network dedicated to providing high-quality coverage across a wide range of topics, including local, regional, national, and international issues. Operating 24/7, the network emphasizes inclusivity, offering a platform for diverse voices and covering essential subjects such as arts, culture, religion, education, and legal advice. Based in New York City, Millennium Day News connects communities worldwide through engaging programming that includes political discussions, sports news, health segments, and entertainment features. To ensure accessibility, viewers can access content via mobile apps, iOS and Android, Internet Smart TVs, and streaming services like Roku and Amazon Fire, as well as through IPTV and satellite networks. For more information and updates, visit their websites millenniumnews24.com and millenniumtv24.com or follow them on social media and YouTube under Millennium News 24. As they continue to expand, viewers can look forward to a broader array of news programs that reflect the diversity of the global community. Whether you're interested in current events or cultural discussions, Millennium Day News is dedicated to keeping you informed and connected.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar and you are watching Millennium News Channel 24. Here are the latest updates. Australia's government, led by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, is set to legislate a world-leading ban on social media for children under 16, aiming to protect minors from online harm. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Thursday the government would legislate for a ban on social media for children under 16, a policy that the government says is world-leading. Australia is trialling an age verification system to assist in blocking children from accessing social media platforms as part of the ban that could come into force as soon as the end of the next year. Social media is doing harm to our kids and I'm calling time on it, Albanese told a news conference. A number of countries have already voted to curb social media use by children, although legislations through Australia and other countries' policy is one of the most stringent. France last year proposed a ban on social media for those under 15, though users were able to avoid the ban with parental consent. The United States has for decades required technology companies to seek parental consent to access the data of children under 13. Let's look at this video.
Our government's proposed age is 16.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Thursday that his government would ban social media for children under the age of 16. The country is testing an age check system to block kids from social media, with the ban possible by next year. Albanese highlighted the dangers to children, including harmful depictions of body image and misogynist content aimed at boys. The law will be introduced this year and take effect 12 months after approval. There will be no exceptions for children with parental consent or existing accounts. He added that social media platforms must prove they're blocking underage access.
The onus will be on social media platforms to demonstrate they are taking reasonable steps to prevent access. The onus won't be on parents or young people. There will be no penalties for users.
Communications Minister Michelle Rowland said the rules would apply to platforms like Meta, Instagram, TikTok, and X. YouTube would probably be included too. None of the companies could be reached for comment right away. Many countries plan to limit children's social media use, but Australia's policy is one of the strictest. France proposed banning social media for people under 15, but allowed exceptions with parental consent. The US has required parental consent for children under 13, causing most social media platforms to ban those under that age.
The catastrophic torrential rains that overflowed rivers and normally dry canals in eastern Spain last week triggered flash floods that submerged entire communities and killed scores of people. The deluge left behind a landscape of devastation, especially in Valencia, the hardest hit region. The search for the dead and missing continues more than a week since October 29 floods hit, as well as a gargantuan cleanup and recovery efforts. The tragedy is already Europe's worst flood-related disaster since 1967, when at least 500 people died in Portugal. Angry crowd pelted mud at Spain's king, queen and prime minister as they visited one of the hardest hit towns on Sunday. The king seems to have become some sort of lightning rod for people's anger here at as they look towards home, as they look towards the form of authority and try to explain the disastrous situation here. Some 2,000 soldiers from the military emergency unit, the Army First Intervention Force for Natural Disasters and Humanitarian Crises are already involved in the emergency work, along with about 2,500 civil guards personnel and 1,800 national police officers who have recently joined rescued 5,000 people. Let's look at this video. President Vladimir Putin congratulates Donald Trump on winning the US presidential election and said he was willing to talk to him, Millennium reports. I would like to congratulate him on his election as president, Putin said in Sochi, a resort on the Black Sea. Trump had promised to quickly end the war in Ukraine, which began when Russia invaded February 2022 in Ukraine, but has not said how. During his first term, Trump was known for a relationship with Putin that many viewed as uncomfortably close for a leader of one of the US top global rivals. And last month, investigate journalist Bob Woodward revealed that Trump sent Russian COVID-19 testing machines during a period in 2020 when they were scarce. Donald Trump secretly sent COVID-19 testing machines to Vladimir Putin in the early stages of the pandemic. Let's look at this video.
He's mostly a businessman that he is not very well versed in politics. He can make a lot of mistakes. But from the outset, I can tell you that his behavior when there was an attempt on his life, I was impressed. He's a courageous person. And it's not just about the hand he raised and his call to fight for their common values and ideals. Of course, there was a rush of adrenaline, but a person shows their true color in these emergencies. And this is precisely one of those cases, and I think he acquitted himself admirably.
Hurricane Rafael, a Category 3 storm, made landfall in Cuba on Wednesday, causing major damage and widespread power outages across the country. The storm had already impacted Cayman Islands and Jamaica, bringing strong winds, heavy rain and dangerous storm surges to these island nations. Before Rafael hit Cuba, the government issued warnings and urged citizens to prepare. Schools and public transportations were shut down, and flights in and out of Havana and Guadalajara were cancelled. Thousands of people in the western part of the island were evacuated, as reported by the Millennium. Forecasters warned Rafael could bring life-threatening storm surges, winds and flash floods. While conditions have improved on Grand Cayman, residents are advised to exercise extreme caution on the roads and near coastlines, as rough seas and residual flooding risk may persist, said the government in statement. Rafael is the 17th named storm of 2024 hurricane season. Its arrival comes just 2 weeks after another hurricane hit the eastern part of Cuba, killing at least 6 people. The storm caused widespread blackouts from which the islands is still recovering. Yemen-based terror group Houthis have announced an immediate ceasefire soon after Trump's victory in the US elections. According to reports, terrorist group had claimed that their actions in international waters were purely defensive. Houthis have been against US-Israel and conducted various rallies calling against Western nations. Swaths of war-torn Yemen for a decade have exploited the regional situation and enhanced cooperation with the axis of resistance, which includes Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah, the UN expert said. The panel noted that the transformation of the Houthis from a localized armed group with limited capabilities to a powerful military organization extending the operational capabilities well beyond the territorial under the control. The rebels also benefited from training and technical assistance provided by the Quds Force, the foreign operations arm of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, as well as Hezbollah and pro-Iran group in Iraq, the UN expert said. Let's look at a special documentary.
In over 9 months, the Houthi terrorists, one of Iran's proxies, have launched over 220 projectiles against Israel from Yemen. They have targeted international trade routes and foreign vessels, attempting to destabilize international economy. The Houthis' main goal is to govern all of Yemen with a radical Islamist ideology, and as their charter says, bring death to Israel, the United States, and many other foreign countries. With this goal in mind, they have attempted hijacking international vessels with false ties to Israel, as well as killing foreign civilians and holding many captive. These Houthis' attacks are acts of aggression, threatening both the Middle East and the wider world. This week, after the Houthis launched an Iranian explosive UAV at Tel Aviv, we operated in self-defense and struck their bases of operation and infrastructure at the El Hudaydah port in Yemen. The IDF will not tolerate any sort of threats, terrorism, or attacks toward our civilians. And as we proved this Saturday, we will act wherever necessary to protect our people.
Thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate a part of California that has been savaged by wildfire for a second day running. The fast-moving wildfire was first reported near Moon Park, 40 miles northwest of Los Angeles early on Wednesday, and has been boosted by heavy winds. California Governor Gavin confirmed in a statement that more than 10,000 evacuations orders have been issued, while 2,500 homes and other structures were under threat, and federal funds have been secured to help fight the fire. National Weather Service said winds were expected to decrease significantly by Thursday night, but warned the condition for high fire danger would stay in effect for now. Bushes are burning, grass is burning, hedgerows are burning, agriculture fields are burning. Fire officials also confirmed that 2 people suffered apparent smoke inhalation and were taken to hospitals on Wednesday. No firefighters reported significant injuries. Officials in several Southern Californian counties have meanwhile urged residents to watch out for fast-spreading fires, power outages, downed trees. Let's look at the special coverage.
From where Stu was, these houses, you can hear every about 10 seconds you hear something break, and that's part of the house falling down. The one next to it, there's only a chimney left. It is so devastating. These firefighters doing an amazing job. There's about 15 engines out here. I'd say about 50 firefighters. I've lost the signal, so I'm just going to keep talking. It's really hard to breathe, but also really hard to get a signal out here. You can see LA County Fire just pulled up. LA City Fire's here. Ventura Fire. She's got her hose getting ready to spray it. I don't think there's anything left to salvage, though.
Now time for some special sports highlights. Victor Osimhen scored twice as Galatasaray inflicted a first Europa League defeat of the season against 10-man Tottenham in Istanbul. Teenage forward Will Lancashire was dismissed with 2 yellow cards on the hour. Mark Spurs, having earlier scored his first senior goal for the club in only his second start. However, by the start, the visitors should have been out of sight, with the final scoreline barely reflecting an encounter that was dominated by the host. Tottenham woefully attempt to play out for the back in notorious for its hostile atmosphere. Yunus Akgun's 6th-minute effort was the precursor of what was follow the Turkey mid-fire, dispatching a wonderful left volley keeper 20 yards. Let's have a look at this video. Formula F1 drivers have urged the sports governing authority to treat them like adults after Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc were punished for swearing. The Grand Prix Driver Association (GPDA) has also criticized FIA President Mohammed for his tone and language when addressing the topic. An open letter from the GDPA said, "There is a difference between swearing intended to insult others and more casual swearing, such as you might use the described, but whether or indeed an intimate object, F-car situation. We urge FIA President to consider his own tone and language when talking. Further, our members are adult. They do not need to be given instruction by the media about matters as trivial as wearing of jewelry or underpants." FIA had been approached for comment. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download the Millennium app, Millennium TV USA for Android and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News 24. Have a good day.